everyone, welcome to my channel. So I recently finished the Kaely Quinn Profiler Trilogy by Nancy Mehl, and I wanted to do a little review and recommendation video for it because I loved the trilogy and it's a really good Christian suspense trilogy that has a little bit less romance in it, so it kind of stands out in that way because a lot of the Christian suspense has a lot of romance as well. But this one had like not as much and it was more so about the character of Kaely Quinn and her process of being an FBI analyst and like all about serial killers and investigations and stuff like that. So I thought it was really great, so I wanted to have a video reviewing the 3 books and then recommending them to you. So the first book is called Mind Games, and I gotta say the covers for this trilogy are excellent. I really love the covers. They're so mysterious and they're just not typical Christian suspense covers for me, I guess. I think they stand out. I think they're nice. It's nice that there's no people on the covers. And anyways, I just really like the cover. So yeah, this book opens with Kaely Quinn, and her backstory is her father is actually a convicted serial killer. So he's in prison for life for being a serial killer, and Kaely and her family had no idea. So that was very traumatizing for her. I think she was like 14 when he got caught, so fairly young, and now she's like 30, I think, and she's living her life being an FBI analyst, like profiler basically, and kind of trying to make up for not seeing that her father was actually a serial killer. So she tries to help the police and the FBI catch serial killers before they kill a bunch of people. So that's kind of her backstory, and it opens with her at a restaurant, and you're like, okay, who's she talking to? Because she's talking to someone, and then it turns out the opening scene is kind of the method that she uses to catching serial killers, and she ends up having like a pretend conversation with them until her mind kind of like figures out who they are, like based on all the evidence. So she has all the evidence spread out in front of her, and she starts like interviewing this invisible serial killer, and it helps her figure out the identity of them. So very unique and strange and not very realistic, but I just found it fascinating to read about, and I thought it was done well, like as realistic as possible. I don't think I've ever heard of this being an actual thing. I don't know if that's possible, but you know. And book 1 follows a serial killer that is starting to mimic serial killers that Kaely Quinn had caught in the past. She realizes that like this new serial killer is trying to send her a message and is telling her like, you're next kind of thing, and she ends up getting paired up with a man named Noah. He's great. He doesn't really want to be paired with her because he thinks she's kind of weird. Kind of everyone does, because they know about her method, and then also plus they know her dad was a serial killer, so everyone's kind of like weirded out by her. But anyways, he ends up getting paired with her, and they have to work together to catch the serial killer. The main thing that stood out from this book is the faith in it. Because Noah is not a Christian, but Kaely is, when she kind of gives her statement of faith and why she believes in Jesus, I just thought it was the most real, beautiful, amazing way to say it. Like basically that he's her everything, and how could she not believe in him and commit her life to him? I just loved the wording. Like I can't replicate it. Like really go read the book, because yeah, I just was like, that's the most compelling statement of faith I've ever heard. So I thought that was great. And then the end of the book was really good because a couple things come out about Kaely that I had no idea, and now looking back, like if I was really paying attention, maybe I would have picked up on it, but like I was so enthralled with the current mystery that I didn't even see the things about Kaely coming. And so that was fascinating for me. And also there's like basically no romance in this first book. Like she and Noah are just trying to get to know each other. They kind of become friends, you know. Noah's slowly warming up to her. So the first book totally sold me. I gave it 5 stars. I was like, yes, I think I'm gonna love this trilogy. So the second book is called Firestorm, and I also really liked this one. Kaely's mom has cancer, and so it's starting to look kind of bad. So Kaely has to go back to help take care of her with her brother. So she's back in her hometown, and there's been a series of suspicious fires happening in her hometown, and eventually they realize it's an arsonist, and she can't help herself. She has to try to help find him, even though it's not her jurisdiction, however you say that word, jurisdiction, there we go. So she helps the FBI in that region with the arson, but then also there's like a side thing that she has to help the FBI with as well, and that's when Noah gets called in, so he gets brought in too. Like, she starts off alone, and there's this nice firefighter guy who, you know, makes it look like there might be a love triangle, but like Noah has no claim over her yet, so, but obviously you want her to be with Noah. But this new firefighter guy was very nice, so I'm like, oh no, who do I want her to be with? But the end of the book gives you your answer, so it's all good. But yeah, I liked this one. There was a lot more family drama in this one, which sometimes I don't like. I just wish that communication was there more, but at the same time, when I like actually think about it, normal real families are terrible at communicating, I think. And so it actually is kind of realistic. Just the mom has a lot of like hurt that she's holding on to, because she feels like Kaely, after they found out that the dad was a serial killer, just the family kind of broke apart after that. So that's kind of what the drama is from. The family is trying to heal. Kaely's brother plays a bigger role. His name's Jason, and I really liked his character. He just was like such a solid character to have throughout the trilogy. I just liked having him around. He is also a Christian, so just having his like stable, faith-centered opinions out there, I just really liked. The arson mystery turns out to be bigger than I expected, which kind of is how Nancy Mehl seems to do it. Like, you think that it's just this one little thing, but then the person, the bad guy, the serial killer, the arsonist, there's like a bigger connection with them that is like, whoa, okay, and it just like adds a nice dynamic to the story. So anyways, I quite liked book 2. I liked the mystery. There's always some kind of like secret identity kind of thing going on, and you get a little bit of snippets in the perspective of the bad guy, whoever they are, and I really like that part. So yeah, book 2 was great. I also liked the progression of Kaely and Noah's relationship. They became really good friends in this book, which was really nice to see. No romance at all. It was like just friendship, so that was really nice. And then the ending of the book kind of ends on like maybe a more dramatic way. Their relationship is a little shaken at the very end of this book, so it makes you really want to read the third book, because it's like, ooh, how did this go, you know? So yeah, the third book is called Dead End, and I also gave this 5 stars, but it was kind of more like 4.5. So this book, really, there's like a build up to Kaely Quinn's mental health. Her mental health gets triggered in the first book, and then it kind of like carries through until this third book. And this is where I felt like it slightly didn't live up to what I thought it should do. Like, Kaely Quinn had a lot of mental health symptoms that I wished we got to see her process them more. It was like talked about that she processed them, and some things were like healed or whatever sooner than I think is realistic. And then also it kind of ends with not a completeness to it. Like, there's more to come, but the trilogy's over, I think. So I wish that we got to see that, like maybe if there was an epilogue or something, I don't know. But this book is exciting because the serial killer in this book is copying her dad's way of, what's it called? MO. Is copying her dad's MO, and they're like, what? Like, and he's doing things that only her dad would know, and like the cops. So like, how did the person find out? So they are like, Kaely, will you go talk to your dad in prison? And she's never visited him before, so she's like, I don't want to, but I care about justice, so okay. So we finally get to meet her dad in this one, and that whole process was fascinating. And I don't know how accurate it is. Like, I don't know anything about serial killers and their mental state. I don't know how faith is a part of that either, because growing up, like, Kaely's family went to church, and the dad said he was a Christian, but it was all an act on his part. So, but how much did that impact? I don't know. So that's kind of the part of me that is like, I want to know more. But anyways, we did get to know some of her dad's backstory and why he did what he did. And I feel like the dad's storyline was concluded well. I liked how it ended. I thought it ended as good as it could. And the one thing, even though a lot of this is unrealistic, the one thing with like how the serial killer got in and figured things out and did his thing, like pretty unrealistic and a little bit unbelievable. Just it, and even his connection to everything, like who he turned out to be, I was like, okay, I'll sustain, whatever. But I still was entertained, so that's why I didn't dock a star for it. And then Kaely and Noah's relationship really blossoms in this book. It's very sweet. They both realize separately that I mean, is it obvious that they end up together? I hope it's obvious. And then Noah's progression to faith and just his like, it was so sincere and honest. I really liked seeing Noah's faith grow. Yeah, so overall I was very impressed. I loved the writing. I loved the amount of faith that the author included. I thought the suspense was really great and the mysteries were good and just all of it. I really, really enjoyed this trilogy. I would highly recommend it. Mind Games is definitely my favorite in the trilogy. I think that's the strongest book, but maybe it's just because I was like, that was the introduction, so I just was like so impressed. But really like the whole thing, I just really liked the first book the most. But then the next two are just as good. I gave them 5 stars on Goodreads, but they're more like 4.5, but I didn't want to give them 4 because they're really good. One of the better romantic suspense that I've read in a while. So yeah, that's why I wanted a whole recommendation video for it. And I thought, why not? Let's make a review video for it. So I don't do that as often, but I would like to have more like individualized reviews for certain books. So this is that. That is this. Yeah, very excited. I definitely want to start following this author and reading all of her books. Yeah, so that's my recommendation video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.